Hi, my name is Mr. B, like in honeybee, not bumblebee, because bumblebee stings sometime. I'm like a honeybee, and I'd like to read you a story today, a book today it's one of my favorite people of all time. I think he was a great, great human being. At the end of the story, you might know more about him and might think he's great too. There's a picture of him, the front of the book. Some of you might recognize that face. It's a kind face, isn't it? Okay. First page. Everywhere in Martin's hometown, he saw the signs that said, "White only." His mother said these signs were in all southern cities and towns in the United States. Every time Martin read the words, he felt bad, until he remembered what his mother told him. "You are as good as anyone." In church, Martin sang hymns. He read from the Bible. He listened to his father preach. These words made him feel good. "When I grow up, I'm going to get big words too." Martin's father was a preacher. Martin grew up. He became a minister like his father, and he used the big words he had heard as a child from his parents and from the Bible. Everyone can be great. He studied the teachings of Mahatma Gandhi. He heard how the Indian nation won freedom without ever lifting a gun. Martin said, "Love when others said hate." Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. He said together when others said separate. He said peace when others said war. Sooner or later, he said, all the people of the world will have to discover a way to live together. In 1955, on a cold December day in Montgomery, Alabama, Rosa Parks was coming home from work. A white man told her to get up from her seat on the bus so he could sit. She said no and was arrested. Montgomery's black citizens heard of her arrest, and it made them angry. They decided not to ride the buses until they could sit anywhere they wanted. For 381 days, they walked to work and school and church. They walked in rain and cold and blistering heat. Martin walked with them and thanked them and talked to them and sang with them and prayed with them until the white city leaders had to agree that they could sit anywhere they wanted to. When history books are written, someone will say there lived black people who had the courage to stand up for their rights. In the next 10 years, black Americans all over the South protested for equal rights. Martin walked with them and talked with them and sang with them and prayed with them. White ministers told him to stop. Mayors and governors and police chiefs and judges ordered them to stop, but they kept on marching. Wait. For years I have heard the word wait. We have waited more than 340 years for our rights. They were jailed and beaten and murdered, but they kept on marching. Some black Americans wanted to fight back with their fists. Martin convinced them not to by reminding them of the power of love. Love is the key to the problems of the world. Many white Southerners hated and feared Martin's words. A few threatened to kill him and his family. His house was bombed, his brother's house was bombed, but he refused to stop. Remember, if I am stopped, he said, this movement will not be stopped because God is with this movement. The marches continued. More and more Americans listened to Martin's words. He shared his dreams and filled them with hope. I have a dream that one day in Alabama, he said, little black boys and black girls will join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. After 10 years of protest, the lawmakers in Washington voted to end segregation. The white-only signs in the South came down. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. cared about all Americans. He cared about people all over the world. And people all over the world admired him. In 1964, he won the Nobel Peace Prize. He won it because he taught others to fight with words, not fists. Martin went wherever people needed help. In April of 1968, he went to Memphis, Tennessee. He went to help garbage collectors who were on strike. He walked with them and talked with them and sang with them and prayed with them. On his second day there, he was shot and he died. His big words are alive for us today. Now, Martin Luther King, if he was known for anything, was known for his kindness. And his kindness was something that was for the whole world, to everybody, not just one person. And he once said something like, if I cannot do great things, I will do small things in a great way. And so you don't have to be as famous or important in that way as Martin Luther King Jr., Dr. King. If you do kind things in a small way in your corner of the world, all of those little acts of kindness that you can take place and others can too, will all add up to something very big. So, somebody once said, and it's something I remember the day I read it, somebody once said, no act of kindness, no matter how small, is ever wasted. I hope maybe this will make you want to read more about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He's a great man. I remember in 1968 in April, I was in college at Purdue, and I remember I was walking through the student union, and they had TVs in there for students to watch in between classes. And I remember students crowded around the TV set, and I wondered what was going on, so I went over there, and they were talking about Martin Luther King being assassinated, which was a shock to everybody. He was on his hotel balcony. People were pointing over to where the shots came from, and it was really a horrible, horrible day. You take a great person like this who did so many nonviolent, kind things to get people to make changes for good, and using love instead of hate, and then it's so sad that hate is what killed him because somebody hated him and shot him for that. Kindness is maybe one of the greatest things in the world, so take your small act of kindness that you can do every day, and you will change the world for it, just like he changed the world with his kindness.